Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey, hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. You guys, last week we were talking about the scam that got me of the guy handing a ring, and Eric, you had mentioned that somebody on the YouTube thing had posted something. That person was Louis Adams, and I just want to say thanks, Louis. This is the value for value system at work here.
Yes.
And also, thanks for ruining all my dreams of humanity.
It is kind of upsetting to know that it is actually a pretty well utilized scam.
Yeah, it really does mean that there will be somebody who's probably in need of help that I could have offered help to, that I will now just be like, I don't trust you, I don't know you, and good luck, poor young lady on the side of the road.
I would say...
Why are you looking at me?
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer pretty much knocked my desire to pull on the side of the road and help people out.
This is a film I have still never seen. I think you told me that it was a little too brutal for me.
It's one of the top of the worst. It's really well done.
Is it the same as what's his name used in Silence of the Lambs, where he's got the lady helping him into helping him load
what was that
something.
Based on? That was based on
Bundy. He used to do that, like wear a cast or a sling or something and have someone help him.
No, it was a little more to the point. They just drive up and shoot people.
Oh.
And
wow.
And then kidnap, I think, a different group. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I watched that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I love, that's Michael Rooker, right?
Yeah.
I love him so much, but that's just one I've been told is, I don't know. I always, even in my brutal movies, I like to, at the end, be able to go, I'm glad I watched that. And I just don't feel like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer will make me feel that way.
No, it will not.
Yeah. I said the movie that's like that for me is probably Vanishing. And that
The original?
also,
Yes.
And that also ends in a way that you're like, fuck humans.
Yeah. Somebody actually brought me to see that in a theater, and I was so glad I did.
Oh my gosh.
Just because it's so good. But
it's
Jesus,
so good, but
and then the remake just chickened out, which is very disappointing.
Really? I didn't bother watching the remake,
Yeah,
and
they
now I'm glad I
changed.
didn't.
They changed the ending quite a bit.
Last week also, Vanessa, you talked about RoboCop 2, and the more I think about it, everything that was going on in Detroit is actually going on now with the police on strike and stuff like that. Is just like, wow, well, here we are. We're living, and I've said this before, we're living in a dystopian future.
We really are.
The problem is we just didn't get the really cool fashions and other crazy shit to go with it. Instead, we got slippers and robes and
exactly.
DoorDash.
PJs. Yeah, I had a phase a couple years ago where I called it my dystopian, like, nuclear war clothing phase, where I was wearing like black and gray and it's all torn up and everything. And I'm not totally out of that yet, but that was where I was hoping for, like we're all kind of put together, but we look like we've been through something. And now it's just like, oh, you just shopped it online at Old Navy. Cool. Me too.
Dress for the job you want, Vanessa.
I have the job I want, and I can wear whatever I want to it.
Well, this has been a very uplifting preamble. I am going to talk about a couple of things that are not movie or television related.
Whoa.
I'm reading a book right now. Vanessa, maybe not interested in it. Eric, definitely going to be interested in it. It is called Marvel, The Untold Story, and it is all about Marvel Comics, and it starts at the very beginning.
How long ago was this published?
Probably a couple years ago.
Okay, maybe not the one I'm thinking of, but it sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
Well, it starts with Stanley Leibowitz working for Timely Comics, and then him churning out enough characters with Jack Kirby to get Marvel Comics up and running, and all of that stuff. And nobody nobody looks good in this. They
Yeah.
Oh,
Stanley
really?
is a real prick. Jack Kirby, who was very much wronged by Stanley, is also a real prick. John Byrne, a real prick. The only
Wow.
people who are coming out good are Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like every time
I'm pretty sure I did read that when it first.
Yes,
came
that
out.
is it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one. Very
Every
good.
time I learn about comic book writers, most of the time it just that they're huge pricks, which is unfortunate. There are some good ones out there. Not all of them are, but there's so many stories.
I think probably currently there are much nicer people
Yes.
making it because
Yeah,
the comics
Jeff Lemire
industry
sounds nice.
has changed.
Yeah.
But
You didn't have to fight for respectability now. You don't have to fight just to
Right.
somebody to give you any kind of a beyond your, you do those funny books for kids, huh?
yeah.
You know, that's all you were getting when those
Gosh.
guys were creating book. And Kirby never really got when did he die? Like late 70s or something?
Oh no, he died in the 90s, I think.
Was it that? Okay.
Or
But he
maybe
wasn't
later.
doing as much work. It just doesn't
No,
seem.
no.
But, so he didn't get through that X-Men phase where suddenly comic books became, oh, wow, there seems to be a little more going on, and self-publishing started to pick up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm at the part in the book which is about the mid to late 80s. Jim Shooter is starting to be ousted finally, and boy, what a prick he was.
Yes.
But I realized reading this, I thought, it's weird how time works. I thought that I collected comics in the 80s. And really, I collected from like 78 to 83 or 4
Yeah.
is all, that's the entire time I collected, because everything that they're talking about, I was like, it was that long ago? And I realized, oh, you know what? 16, my parents got me a car, beat to shit
Yeah.
Monza, and all my money went to gas and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And listen, it took $10 to fill my tank back then, Vanessa. And $10 might as well have been $100 when I was 16.
Yeah.
I had a different thing because in Twin, we didn't have a comic book shop. So I was mail ordering then.
You were doing the subscription?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it was from
my
New
gosh.
Mythology Comics in Boise, and this guy would basically send me a subscription box a month or every couple months. And the books I got altered a lot. Like that's where I got Elric and Badger and some of
right, right.
those. But I don't think I stopped till I moved here. Because when I moved here, it's like, extra spending money? This is nothing I know anything about right now. So
Man, it's funny how when you live remote, you end up doing weird things to get into comics. And my mom, she was a teacher, so she always was into buying me books. That was the one thing she was okay with buying me. So we used to go to O'Leary's bookstore in Lakewood, and they had an entire floor of just old weird comics.
Oh, wow.
So I would go and get a bunch of Star Trek comics, which were all very bad and unreadable, and a bunch of Star Trek novelizations of episodes that are seen. And that was often what I was spending my money on. And then, but weirdly, the other half of that store was also just porn. So, so that was where I got into my comics.
Yes,
Good
yeah.
old O'Leary's.
there was a store in Twin. Twin did have a porn store. The first 10 feet of the store was just a regular magazines and some music.
Yep.
And the rest of the store, 80% of the store was the part I was not allowed to go into.
Yep. I remember thinking there were a lot of old guys who were into comics, and I was like, they must really like collecting them.
Sure.
And in retrospect, no, Vanessa, not the case.
Star Trek and Star Humps was going home with them that day.
Oh, yes. They were leaving the Star Trek and using that
Oh,
money
you put
for
that
the...
over the other title.
Oh, clever. I like that.
It was a different time, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because I haven't had a lot of time to watch that many things either. So, but I did read a really cool comic myself, which was, I thought it was going to be ass and awful, but it was actually really good, which was Neil Gaiman's Snow and Glass, which is
I don't know this.
Yeah, it's like a retelling of Snow White, but from the evil queen's perspective. But it's really like crazy, and Snow White's a vampire essentially, but in old folklore style. It's really neat, the spin on it.
Where was this?
I picked this up from the library, but
so it's a comic series? Oh, okay.
It's just a single. It's just a one-off,
Oh.
but it's really beautiful art, really nicely done. Like it's really fascinating too. It's very sexualized in a way that sometimes Neil Gaiman chooses to do, in a way that, but it's not bad. I was surprised. Good job, Gaiman.
I always reach out to you for new comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a second issue of that Swamp Thing yet?
Not yet.
What is going on with that?
I think it's like a production line issue. I don't know. I'm not sure. I keep getting emails from my local comic shop that it's not quite in order yet, and I keep looking it up. It's not yet. Has not shown up yet, but hopefully soon. There's been a lot of other ones that have come out that look pretty cool. I just picked up the new Aquaman. That looked pretty good too.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it looks fucking rad. So we'll see.
Are they starting to make him look like Jason Momoa in the comics, or?
I haven't cracked too far into it, but he doesn't look wimpy or uncool. He looks very cool. He doesn't look like Jason Momoa, but he looks like a badass.
I just wondering if they had turned his hair dark yet, or if he's
It
still
is
a
dark.
blonde.
I think it's dark.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, good job, DC Black Label. Still bringing in the cool shit.
So I'm still going through and watching a few Joe Bobs every once in a while, because I don't necessarily watch them when they come out, but
Yeah.
I do like watching the ones that I've already seen. So just kind of skip through and just listen to him talk. So last week I did that with Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think I watched that episode.
Yeah, it's like a 3.5 hour episode because it's some kind of an anniversary. I forgot what anniversary it was of his film. And he's like, in all my years, I've actually never done this film.
That's crazy. That's so good.
So yeah, I'm just watching it, skipping through, listening to him talk about it. And he's always interesting, man.
Yeah.
Guy knows his stuff, and he's funny the way he presents it. And he had, what's his name? One of the other more famous horror hosts. The guy who's got the heavy eyebrows. Yeah.
Yeah,
He had him on as a special guest.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that was a lot of fun.
I didn't realize Svengoolie was still around.
He is going.
still going.
Yeah, if you have a certain channel, he's going every week, and
Wow.
he's super fun to watch.
Yeah, and he is largely a one-person operation from what Joe was saying. He's got a director who helps him in general and acting, maybe like somebody else, but he writes his episodes. He does all of his stuff himself. And that's every week for, I think the first one started like in 75 or 76. He's I think he said he's the third.
Yeah, he said he took over
Second
for
or
at least
third.
one other person.
Yeah. So, but that's fun because I never had horror hosts on my TV growing up. They just didn't have any of them in any of our stations. So that was something I knew nothing about. And then you get up here and some people are talking about him and others and all this stuff. It's like, wow, this sounds kind of cool. So, and Joe Bob is pretty cool.
Joe Bob is awesome. I am like you. I did not come across horror hosts as a kid, and I'm slightly obsessed with them. But that's so cool. That's a good way to spend an afternoon, just skipping through the movie you've already seen and just watch Joe Bob chat.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know I'm a huge Stephen King fan. First Stephen King book I read was Salem's Lot when I was 10. And so you can imagine that I have been kind of eyeing this new Salem's Lot that's coming out.
Sure.
And it suddenly got pushed back like 8 months, which I don't think is ever a good sign. Yeah. So I don't know, but I had been hearing rumblings that it was supposed to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. So I decided, well, what else can I do to fill that Salem's Lot hole in my heart?
Sure.
I found a 6-part BBC audio drama of Salem's Lot.
Oh my God.
With Doug Bradley as the vampire.
That's cool.
And it is great. And I have a feeling there's no way the new movie is going to be able to top this. It's available online. It is like 30 or 40 minute episodes, each one. It takes, it takes the entire story and it does a really good job turning it into, an audio drama, like listening to an old radio
So
play.
it's got different voices and all the sound effects and stuff.
Yeah, it's all acted out, and
so fun.
it was really solid. So you can find it online, find it on YouTube. It is Salem's Lot, BBC audio drama.
Oh, that
Nice.
sounds awesome. Ugh. I watched a show that just kind of launched recently on HBO, and it's definitely not my typical fare. It's not something that I usually seek
Slapstick
out.
comedy?
Not quite.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
cringy comedy, but real life. Have you guys ever watched Nathan For You?
I think I know who Nathan is, but I
Nathan
have not
Fielder.
seen that show.
Okay.
It's called Nathan For You.
This particular show is actually called The Rehearsal, but it's
Oh.
by the same guy who did Nathan For You, which has had, I think,
I've
a
not-
couple seasons out. So Nathan For You was like, he would go into people's lives and try to give them solutions, and they were always god awful,
Okay,
horrible.
it's not who I was thinking of. I don't.
Yeah,
know
but
who this is.
he plays a very straight man who seems like kind of socially awkward. Always wears like a white button-up shirt and has he looks kind of like John Oliver, but even less cool, and not British, which does not help. But he started a new show with HBO and HBO Money called The Rehearsal, and what this is on paper this sounds so lovely, but of course it's incredibly stressful to watch. So people, he says, you get really nervous and worked up about going through an experience that is going to be difficult or hard, like a job interview or, coming out to your family to tell them some truth that you've been hiding or whatever that thing is. So each episode, he helps people rehearse the full scenario. So the first episode, there's somebody who wants to tell his friend that he didn't actually go to college, and he's worried the friend is going to freak out. So Nathan rebuilds the entire bar that they hang out at, and he's gonna tell this friend at trivia night. So they set up the entire trivia night scenario. They get lookalike actors for all the patrons and the bartenders.
What
they walk
the
through
hell?
every single conversation, how it could go, what different directions, what timing to say the right things at the right time, and then of course at the end of the episode it happens for real. And it's really crazy because you're so stressed out over these really small scenarios, and you're like, oh my God, he didn't say it during the break. He ordered the pizza instead. What's he doing? He's going off book. So Nathan For it's definitely, it's one of those shows I hate watching because it just freaks me out. But Nathan Fielder is just it's so fascinating to watch, and so I'm pretty hooked. There's only 2 episodes out at this point, but if you guys want to watch something fucking different as hell, then I would say check it out.
It sounds like Kitchen Nightmares or something like that for a real person.
But for a real
for
person,
your real life. I mean, not
take
your
out
restaurant.
all that weird editing where they're going dun 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 and like push-ins and all. If you take all that out and scrape it away and just leave weird people in really weird situations, that's what you have. Yeah, it's pretty unique, strange fodder. So
I don't know. So didn't have a lot this one, but I caught up and finished. I think I finished the last season of Orville on Hulu.
oh my God, I was just talking to a friend about this. I have not watched it.
Okay, you haven't
'cause,
watched it at all.
Not this season.
Oh, okay.
So I've
The-
seen
the
season 1 and
Hulu
2.
one.
Yeah.
It's still pretty good. It's almost all the same people. Obviously, what's his name passed away. The guy who's playing the Blob,
Right. Yeah.
but man, his name went in my head and right back out. But they still have his voice. So they've used like
really?
lines from him for that character throughout the season. So it's kind of
sure.
interesting, but it's pretty good. I mean, if it wasn't for the new Star Trek series, it definitely would be one of the better Star Trek series out there. But I think you'll like it.
I'm excited because I was really worried about it, and my friend and listener of the show, Eli, was telling me it's actually really good and really strong, and to check it out. And I'm excited.
It gets a little heavy-handed at some of the stories, but it's still pretty good. But one of the weird things is, though, they're just going for whatever length they want. The last episode is a 90-minute movie, basically.
Oh,
like,
wow.
geez, okay. whatever length you want to run. I like it better in The Mandalorian when this might be 30 minutes this week.
Right.
But no, it's always over an hour.
Huh. Okay. Well,
Very cool.
yeah.
Yep.
Gosh, I've got some stuff to check out. So.
Well, while you're doing that, how about we take a little break? And then when we come back, we will be talking summer camp shenanigans.
Hi, now's the time to plan a great summer of fun for your child at Young People's Day Camp. Let me show you how Young People's Day Camp makes fun happen. At Young People's Day Camp, your child is picked up and brought home by Camp Bus. In between, the days are filled with fun activities. There's boat rides, all summer sports, long swims in the pool, arts and crafts, weekly field trips, and so much more. All under the care, supervision, and instruction of state licensed teachers and administrators. There are 2 to 8 week programs available, and for the 16th anniversary year, tuition is just $110 a week for an 8-week program. Camp shirts, tote bags, trophies, awards, and banners are all provided free. Act now to reserve a place for your child. For the camp nearest you, call in the 5 boroughs, 718-447-8010. New Jersey, 521-3600. Long Island, 731-1000. Westchester, Rockland, 664-8200. And for our new teen tours, 718-338-TEEN.
We have returned. Vanessa, this was your subgenre pick this week.
Yes, it was. So this week I chose to go with summer camp because the weather's turning into something acceptable in Seattle. I know the rest of the world is on fire, but we are just having a kind of a nice week. So I wanted to celebrate that with watching films about summer camp shenanigans. So I went with a film that I had actually never even heard of before, which was 1988's Cheerleader Camp.
Every year, the finalists for the Miss Cheerleader USA contest travel to this secluded camp.
Hey, there is no going back.
For some, it will be the crowning achievement of their lives.
I'm gonna win that queen contest.
Nerves are on edge.
There's something eating at everybody, right?
Ever since we've been here, it's never a good night.
Jealousies are exposed, and hatreds explode. This year, something evil has come over the contestants.
And she shows I'm gonna kill her.
The instructors,
You're a mascot, not a human.
the judges, and the hired help.
I hope you die.
Something is about to make them all victims of Cheerleader Camp.
Start with Allison. She's so fine. Go look at her long or you'll go blind. Next is Pam. She comes out with a bam and will tell you this, she ain't no sham. Next is Bonnie. She acts kind of funny. She'll steal your heart, but not your money. We can't forget Teresa. She's got what it takes. Putting her on this team was no mistake. Last is Glory, and this is her story. She's our gator. You'll be seeing her later.
Betsy Russell, Leif Garrett, Lucinda Dickey, Laurie Griffin.
We gotta walk out of here.
It's at least 40 miles.
Finally, something to die for. Cheerleader Camp.
I have not seen this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
AKA Bloody Pom Poms, which
Much better.
I will say, if you're trying to look up where to watch Cheerleader Camp, it is almost impossible because it's like Just Watch doesn't know whether to call it Cheerleader Camp or Bloody Pom Pom, so it doesn't call it either. And then you're Googling it and no one knows where it is. So I watched it on YouTube. So apparently it's also impossible to keep the rights figured out for that, which is great for me. So it's free. The budget, no idea. No clue. Box office, no information there. Rotten Tomatoes, only an audience score of 23%.
Oh, no.
So, take with that what you will. Directed by John Quinn. He's done 23 things, does a lot of producing now, but he did 9 episodes of Sin City Diaries. He did Sex Court. He did Staying on Top, Passion Cove, 4 episodes. Total Exposure, Godly 3, The Search for the Golden Bear, Fallen Angel, Beach Movie, etc. I wonder what kind of movies he's making. Cheerleader Camp, guys. All right, they're written by David Lee Fain. 3 episodes, 3 credits. He did a short, he did a feature called Demonoid, and this. But he does have
Demonoid, oh no.
he did do 186 credits of sound department, including Star Trek First Contact, Generations, Star Trek Beyond, Fringe series, Looper. This guy's like a really well-known, good working sound guy who threw a credit into writing. One other writer on this, R.L. O'Keefe. This is his only writing credit. Starring Betsy Russell as Allison Wentworth, our main character. She's been in 36 things, mostly TV walk-ons, and also a movie called Platypus Man, Camp Fear, and she plays Jill in all of the Saw movies. Lucinda Dickey plays Corey Foster, the mascot. She's been in 6 things. Normally she's a dancer, but you would have seen her in Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, Grease 2, and she is the star of Ninja 3, The Domination. She's actually really watchable in this film. I really enjoyed her. Lori Griffin plays Bonnie Reed. There's a lot of girls in this, guys. 9 credits, including Teen Wolf, Drug Runners, and The Burning Zone. George Buck Flower plays Pop, kind of an older guy who's sort of the groundskeeper of the camp. He has 166 credits, but we would know him as the Drifter in They Live, the cook in Starman, Tommy Wallace in The Fog, the drunk in Escape from New York. He's also Red the Bum in Back to the Future. He's in Pumpkinhead, Maniac Cop, and he was a softcore porn star. So this guy has just been in tons of stuff. Really recognizable, well-known Hollywood guy. Leif Garrett plays Brent, the quote-unquote hot guy.
There you go.
He's been in 61 things, including The Outsiders. He also is in Popstar, Dominion, 3 for the Road TV show, Walking Tall. He's in the soundtrack for Joe Dirt, Popstar, Chips, and Top of the Pops. He has a hit song known as I Was Made for Dancin'. And you guys probably know more music that he is behind. I do not. I should have looked him up, but I didn't do it.
He was the man in the 70s.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah. How's his hair in this movie?
Oh, it's bad.
Oh, it's bad?
It's pretty...
It'd be glorious.
It's pretty receding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got like almost like a V of like receding hair. It's very strange looking because he's the hot dude in this.
What year is this from?
This is 88. Yeah,
oh,
88.
I guess it would be a good 10 years after his prime.
Yeah. It's weird that he's playing a high schooler in this, I will say. Travis McKenna plays Timmy Moser, the comedic relief, really fat kid who's hanging out with the cheerleaders and filming them naked. He's been in 42 things, including Van Wilder, Batman Returns, Roadhouse, Boston Legal, lots of walk-ons on TV, including ER, Ally McBeal, Quantum Leap. This guy's been around for a while. Terry Weigel plays Pamela, another hot cheerleader. She's been in 115 things, including Predator 2, Marked for Death, as Sexy Girl, Savage Beach, The Banker. Mostly she was a model actress turned adult film actress at the age of 29, and she's extremely famous for that. So I stopped reading the titles that were sexy. Rebecca Ferrati plays Teresa. She's been in 25 things. I thought she was also a porn star because of the, general lineup for this movie.
Lord, what kind of movie did you watch?
Shocking. It's called Cheerleader Camp. But she's actually a martial artist and bodybuilder, despite her IMDb profile pic looking like she just walked out of a really sexy swimming pool. She was in Ace Ventura, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Three Amigos. So she is actually just a beautiful woman. So there you go. The plot. What is Cheerleader Camp? Well, Allison, a gorgeous cheerleader, is plagued by nightmares about cheerleading. In the first sort of scene setup, we see she's running late for doing cheer at some event. She's running through the lockers, and there's an overhead speaker that just keeps saying, Allison to the field, over and over again. She's throwing her clothes on, which of course means in the first 5 minutes we get a fully top nude, full breast shot of her as she doesn't put on a bra for doing cheerleading. So there you go. She then gets into position and forgets her cheer. She has no idea what to do. And she keeps stumbling through it. She turns and there's no one in the audience except for first her father, who just looks disappointed, and then her mother, who tisks at her. And then she starts moving her pom-poms, and they slit her wrists as she goes. So crazy nightmare. Then she startles awake into being in a van with her friends on the way to cheer camp. So she's got the mascot, who's a crocodile, who's also a very beautiful woman / girl who's hanging out with them, but is the uncool one, I guess. Two extremely beautiful girls who are part of the cheer squad. A heavy comic relief guy who's filming her as she's been sleeping, and her boyfriend, Brent, who is driving them to the cheerleader camp. This is their last chance to prep before the big final cheer contest, which I'm not clear if it's at the camp or after the camp. I feel like they're going to prep, but then they get there and it feels like the contest is there. The plot is pretty darn loose, guys. Shockingly.
Oh, wow.
I know. So they're on their way, and there is a lot riding. They feel like their entire futures are going to be decided on whether or not they can continue to cheer, probably in college, I guess. Yep. So they arrive, and of course, Brent immediately goes and leaves her and starts flirting with this beautiful blonde from an opposing team. He's hitting on her hard, and so she's feeling not too hot about that. The mascot girl is being really nice to her, and they're going to room together. So she's kind of giving her a little bit of a pep talk, and then her other two cheer friends are like, that competition is going to steal your boyfriend, FYI, just so you know. So I guess she's the one to beat, huh? Ha ha ha. And the fat guy, of course, just is sticking his ass out of the window, mooning everyone, and then gets stuck. So it's that kind of movie.
All right. High level comedy.
Yep. And as they get checked in by a girl who also looks like she should be on the cheer squad. She's the actress who was in Teen Wolf. She is however, I guess she's the counselor / ex cheerleader. And she starts giving them the rundown of, what's going on, checks them in, and the guy farts in her face. So that's the kind of movie we're in. She unsticks him from the window by slapping him with her clipboard. So
powerful slap.
Right.
Beautiful girl. Of course, there's more antics. For some reason, all these cheerleaders decide to sunbathe, I guess, on some rocks and some water. And the fat guy goes to, he's really not even a character. He starts filming them from the bushes, but he's not the only one. It was really confusing to me because also there's a cop spying on them from the bushes as well. He's quote unquote keeping an eye on them with binoculars, but we also have somebody filming them and they've got no shirt on for some unknown reason. And then they're like, hey, we see you, to the fat kid, and he's fully Miss Doubtfired. He's dressed as a old lady and he's like, I'm just here filming the monarch butterflies. And they're like, and they strip off all his clothes, turn the camera on him, and he's, in the like full brassiere and everything. He's really committed to the role. And he like gets push / jumps into the water and swims away going, ha 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 ha. Aren't these fun, silly antics that we're engaging in? Don't worry, there's a lot more of this throughout the film. So, however, while all of this is happening, I think I broke
Kelly's
Kelly.
locked it over there.
I'm just imagining you're going to dress like a woman, but you got to put on the bra and panties.
He put the bra and panties on. It's like the wig. He went fully
Committing to the moment.
He's got a purse. He's got everything you can imagine this old lady would have. I was like, wait, is it an old lady? She's got the filled out bra. It is not. It is a teenage boy. So
I'm sorry.
maybe you'll enjoy this movie. It's on YouTube for free.
Maybe.
You had me a fart in the face. This is my kind of flick.
Yes. So meanwhile, we get these really crazy, trippy dream sequences from the main character, which are actually the selling point for me. I really enjoy these. And the blonde girl that's become her sort of adversary gets killed. I can't remember quite what the way was that she gets killed in this one. But the girl wakes up and she's like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm dreaming or if it's awake. I don't know what's happening. And she's just popping pills like a mofo. Obviously, there's some kind of mental thing going on with her. And weirdly enough, she goes in and discovers that the blonde girl is murdered. Her wrists have been slit. So everybody's kind of crowded around. I thought it was part of the dream. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's not part of the dream. She's actually dead. Cool. It sort of has this sort of cross-fading, like everything in the dream is hazy, but then parts of being awake are sort of hazy for our main character. And she's just surrounded by everyone we've met so far in this movie. They're all looking at her, and then the groundskeeper is like, don't worry, I'm going to take care of her. Get out of here, guys. You're like, oh, God, I don't know what that means. But apparently taking care of her by putting her in the freezer. So that is the answer to that. And they deem that this girl committed suicide, even though she was perfectly happy and sunbathing but moments ago. So this keeps happening. So girls keep sort of flirting or getting in the way of our main character, doing things, being mean, whatever. And then she has a dream about them dying, and then they die. And this just keeps happening. And it becomes a sort of whodunit film where everyone's sort of a suspect. So it could be the main character that's doing this because she's obviously having some kind of mental problem. It could be the creepy groundskeeper. It could be the cop who's been spying on them. It could be the overly uptight camp counselor lady who's being mean to all the girls at all moments. It could be the cook who just is walking around with a giant sharp utensil at all times. It could be anybody. It's hard to say. And of course, all the girls are jealous of each other and catty. In the meantime, they're practicing for their cheers, but on the day of the big cheer contest, maybe, I guess, I'm not entirely sure what's happening here. They are one girl down for their team, and so they can't quite do the actual routine, so they really screw it up, and whoever is going to be crowned queen cheerleader is going to get to go to some kind of final contest and be more queen. I don't really get it. Our hero of the story does not get the crown. However, Bonnie, who's a very sweet blonde girl who's been really nice through the whole thing, does. And apparently none of this really matters. It immediately is covered up by a celebration of a metal band starts playing immediately. As soon, I don't know even where they come from, where the instruments happen. They're like standing there, and then time passes, and then they're still standing there with the crowns and everything, and then a metal band is going. So they're having a good time, and now shit hits the fan. So whoever the killer is just offing everybody left, right, and center. And it's kind of a cool film in that as we get down to the last couple of people who are alive, you still really don't know who did it. Everyone feels like they could be the person who's killing everybody. And it has sort of an interesting twist ending. I think this film is interesting, but also lame. It was not my sense of humor at all.
No.
Shockingly. Yeah, the fat guy just borderline being rapey all the time, but everyone being like, but he's fat, so it's fine. He's also 4 times the size of everybody in like height and build. Like, he's kind of scary. I'm like, man, just because he has blue eyes and blonde hair does not mean he is not a threat, guys. Like, I would be careful. The other hot guy who is our singer, he is gross as fuck. I'm just like, all the girls are like, oh, he's so dreamy. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, seriously, the groundskeeper who is like the ex-softcore porn guy is more dreamy than this guy. Like, his receding hairline, his curly hair, he's gross. He's hitting on all the girls. And
is that Leif Garrett?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he is not pulling it off in this. However, there are some fun moments. There is the worst rap I think I've ever heard in my entire life. they do like an introducing of each like girl, like Sally's here and she's so fine. Look at her cheer. It's dynamite. Kind of like bad, not quite rap, awful. And they're going
Impressive.
over the top of it. And it's just the two white guys in the bleachers doing it. It is awful, but super fucking hilarious. They do an intro for everybody. And of course they get to the mascot girl and they're like, she's a mascot. The end. The mascot is kind of fun too. So there's these kind of really fun little moments. So all the mascots for all the different teams are there, and they also have to kind of go through a camp scenario of training. And one of the things they have to do is sit at a lunch and try to figure out how to eat or drink while wearing their costumes. And so we see like the girl trying to eat a sandwich through her alligator costume, and she's sticking it in the nostril and trying to stick it in the eye and trying to stick it in the neck split, and it is not happening. And finally she's like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. And the other ones, there's like a duck that's trying to put a straw through its like mesh like mouth mask. And so there's like little fun details here and there.
Comedy gold.
Hey man, I was holding on to what nuggets I was getting. And also when the head lady who's in charge of them all, she gets really, really drunk at the party scene at the end where she just stops caring at all. She reminded me a lot of how my friend Rebecca gets when she's really drunk. So that was really fun for me.
Does Rebecca listen to the show?
I don't think she does.
Oh,
but one day if she ever does, she'll come across this nugget and she'll be like, oh, you thought of me. And I've seen Rebecca drunk a lot. And this was like perfect. Spot on Rebecca drunk. Where it's just like really over the top and like too honest, but like also trying to finish like the tasks at hand, but not well. And talking her way through it loudly and drunk. And that was really fun for me. So I was like, oh, that's great. A little bit of trivia on this film. The tagline is, give me a K, give me an I, give me an L, die me an L. That's it.
Wow.
Yep. There you go. What does that spell?
I don't know.
Kill. Film's original title, like I said, was Bloody Pom-Poms, which it's still called in some countries, including Germany. It was filmed in 24 days in October of 1987. According to the LA Times article, the film was slated to be shot in Oregon in 87, though filming took place primarily at Camp Nelson and Sequoia National Forest, as well as Bakersfield, California. The film was loosely based on the murder of Kirsten Costas in 1984. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that is. It's very upsetting. Lee Garrett also played one of the mascots in the costume scene. In the scene where Miss Tipton and the sheriff are getting ready for sex, there's that also happens. There is a copy of Leif Garrett's 1978 album "Feel the Need" leaning against the top of the record player. So obviously he was a big draw for this film. Many of the extras were cheerleaders from Bakersfield High School. A sequel was planned for the filmmakers by the filmmakers, but the project was eventually made into an unrelated film, Camp Fear, 1991, which was produced and financed by another production team. A film based on the original sequel outline, Cheerleader Camp to the Death, was released in 2014. This film was put out by Anchor Bay Entertainment on DVD in 2004, and it is currently available to watch in full, as I did, on YouTube.
I don't know. I feel like I might have to check this
Yeah.
out.
I think you should. I think you might have a good time with it. Probably better than I did. It's got some quality moments in it for what it is.
What is the viewing quality of it on YouTube?
It's actually not too bad. I don't know. It would probably be the equivalent of watching a pretty good VHS copy.
Oh, okay.
Not bad. I'm sure
It feels
maybe it's
authentic.
Shout Factory or something seems like something they might have put out, or Vinegar Syndrome.
Right. It seems like something that, if not yet, it perhaps will be.
Okay. Well, I think I went a little on the nose with this one. My film is called Summer Camp.
So, do you live here?
No, I'm around when the kids are around and summer vacation's in.
In America, there's no way we'd call this place a camp.
Yeah, well, it's pretty common here.
That it's cheaper for the parents to send their kids here than to London.
not what I was expecting. Where are the cabins, canoes? I thought Spain was supposed to be warm.
This little lady's as calm as can be. Aren't you, girl?
Will, seriously, just get out of there, man. Trust me, there's no way.
You okay? You look pale.
Guys, come on, this isn't funny anymore.
Calm down and tell me what's going on. Turn the lights!
There's other people out there! Infected people! It'll still work!
It's burning! It's inside!
She's over there!
I was pretty surprised when you announced that. I was like, oh, wait, but what? Oh, you mean, oh, okay.
Okay, that's the full title. All right.
This movie is from 2015. I couldn't find any budget on it, but it had a box office of about 1.5 mil. Rotten Tomato critics give it 56%. The audience gives it 39%. And it was directed by Alberto Marini. It's his first time feature film. It was written by Alberto and Danielle Schleif, who's done a bunch of documentaries and stuff. They and Alberto, the two of them, worked on something called Extinction, which sounded a little familiar to me, but when I looked at it, I was like, I think I've seen this. Anyway, it stars Diego Boneta, 40 credits. He was in Rock of Ages, Terminator Dark Fate, Monster Hunter. Also stars Jocelyn Donahue. She's got 42 credits, including I Trap the Devil, Dr. Sleep, and Furious 7. So she was the one who I actually kind of recognized. And it also stars Maya Ara, I think. Maya Walsh. 41 credits. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Accursed, something I've never heard of, but I liked, called Baby Splitters.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'm putting that in. This movie is actually pretty good. I chose it sight unseen based on this premise. The log line, according to IMDb, is American counselors working at a European summer camp fight to survive when a rage-inducing virus infects the children.
Whoa, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that is not what this movie is about, and I was a little furious.
Oh,
Really?
that's
It's not Take Off at 28 Days.
Right. So, but the movie actually turned out to be halfway decent. So it's 4 young Americans who have traveled to Europe to work as counselors for a summer camp. We have Will, Antonio, Christy, and Michelle. And we're introduced to them. They're doing this kind of weird thing. It starts off with this woman. She's got her hands bound behind her back, and she is blindfolded, and she is running through the woods. And you're like, oh, what's going on here? But you realize pretty quick this is like some kind of trust exercise, because right behind her is a dude who's telling her where she can step, what she has to do, and all this. And it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And they actually do really well. And then the 2 girls try to do it with each other. They don't know each other very well. It does not go very well. Anyhow, one of them is kind of like, why are we even doing this? And you're like, oh, I can't wait for her to get eaten. So they are on their way to this. We're told it's a camp. When we finally get there, I'll get to that. It does not seem like any kind of summer camp I've ever been to. But on the way there, they're in like a truck going up this bumpy dirt road. And all of a sudden, this kind of homeless looking guy steps out in front of them. and they're asking him if he would just move aside. Instead, he unzips his pants and pees on their bumper.
As you do.
And then some other guy kind of harasses them from right next to the driver's side window. The counselor dudes seem pretty sure of themselves. You know, I think I would have just rolled up my window and driven around this person, but they're feeling like they want to get into a fight or something.
Mm.
And finally, the guy steps aside, and they drive past. And what they see is there's kind of a little homeless encampment that is sprung up right here. It's got a big RV, and there's some garbage there, and like a campfire, all this. And there's a woman there who looks pretty out of it, like she's on some kind of weird drugs. So they drive past. I'm like, well, this seems like a very unsafe thing to have at a camp for kids.
Yeah.
Because it literally right around the corner then is the camp, which appears to just be like an old Spanish villa. So it's got a bunch of rooms, and I don't know where the kids would stay unless they're all just staying in this big mansion.
I guess Europe does it different.
Because the kids are not there yet. It is
sure.
the counselor's getting there to get ready for the kids. So already I'm like angry.
Come on, Europe, get it together.
They also they do this thing where I feel like you should know what your audience is for a film.
Yeah.
And if you're making a horror film, understand that your audience is generally pretty fucking savvy by this time.
Yeah.
So when you linger too long on anything, we already know exactly what it is. So you can't act like we should be surprised. So there's a shot of this fountain and the water. And there is then a shot of the sprinklers coming on and the water and all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, you guys, I get it. Something's going to happen with the water. The people who it happens to, it takes them way too long to figure out that it's the water. So you're like, eh. Now I'm saying this because this movie is pretty good. It's actually pretty great, but it doesn't seem to understand that its viewers have seen this movie already.
Yeah.
So that's what bothers me with this.
Oh, interesting.
So we end up with the two dudes. One of them, they're both recurring counselors, but one of them is a real asshole who just likes to fuck the girl counselors who show up, and the other guy is Will, who is like studying to be a veterinarian, all that stuff. And then the two girls, and Antonio is just constantly hitting on the girls and everything. And at one point, he's telling one of the girls there, oh, you can't trust Will. All he wants to do is fuck the girls. So but this never pays off. At one point, very early on, they find out, that one of the caretakers is going to go shoot a dog because the dog has rabies. And Will is like, hold on a second, let me just go and check out this dog. And they find out that dog had bit another dog who is standing off to the side and it seems very scared. And they have the other dog in this pen. And he's like, this dog doesn't have rabies. He's checking its eyes and all that stuff. And he's like, this dog is just fine. All of a sudden, the dog's eyes turn completely white and it attacks him.
Yeah.
And bites him pretty badly. And, as a person who has seen these kind of movies, you're like, well, there it is.
Yep.
They end up, the caretaker ends up coming in with a chain and breaking the dog's neck, which really bothers Will. And you could be forgiven for thinking that, okay, well, here's the start of this. The guy who got bit is going to be the problem, right? This is where the movie starts changing because Will, who is a veterinarian, does not decide that he needs to go to the doctors.
Whoa.
He takes a tetanus shot.
Okay.
But it's kind of like, well, we don't know what's going on with this dog. It might not have had rabies, but something happened to it. And he doesn't really react the way you want him to. So there's, I'm saying this movie is pretty great because it is, but there are moments in it that it just kind of pissed me off that I think could have been taken care of very easily with a line of dialogue or something,
Yeah.
So it is actually Antonio who attacks Will while they are in like a wine cellar area of this place. This whole place does not seem like a very good place for a summer camp for kids. It's got wine cellars. It's all of this stuff. And I don't know why they needed to make that the premise of this, since the kids never show up.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they're talking in the wine cellar, and all of a sudden, Antonio attacks Will, and he's like attacking him, trying to bite him, all this stuff. And the effects or the makeup is pretty good. It reminds me a lot of like the Wreck zombies.
Oh.
So so he ends up having to kill Antonio just as one of the girls is walking in.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, no, it's not what it looks like. So everybody is like on edge, and he's trying to explain that this guy just killed him and all this stuff. But as he's trying to convince her, the other girl suddenly rages out and attacks both of them. So he's now explaining to the girl, "See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what's going on here." Now, of course, they've all drank the water and all that stuff. So, but the thing is, they have all drank the water, right? And so one by one, they all succumb to this rage virus. But then also one by one, they all snap out of it at different points.
My God.
And then they go back into it. So that's where this movie gets kind of interesting, is because they're all infected. And except for the one guy who ends up getting killed early on, they realize that they can all snap out of it too. And so they are reluctant to kill somebody who is raged out. So they have to either entrap that person or escape that person. And it's kind of clever way to put a different twist on this. So I liked it for that reason alone. Let's see. What do I get on my notes here? This is the problem. A lot of people die before this is figured out. And the guy who is the veterinarian, he is a smart kid, and he should have figured this out very quickly. And he figures it out about halfway through the film. So they're like, "Oh, we got to stay away from the water and all this stuff." And also the rage thing, I think, could have been it could have been better done if it was like, okay, we have to be very calm about this. You know, maybe it's the blood pressure or something that spikes and then you turn into this. They don't do anything like that. They just go, at any given moment, you could suddenly rage out. Now, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I keep finding all these things wrong with this movie that I actually really liked. It's shot really well. It's lit really well. The acting is fine. And I just thought it was a really interesting premise. But there are all these nitpicky things that were pissing me off. Eventually, they end up at the homeless encampment, and we find out that the people there have been mixing their own radioactive meth or something that, and it has gotten into the water there, and that's why the dog went crazy. That's why you guys are going crazy and everything. The climax is actually fairly anticlimactic. It is a fight in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if there was like, they thought that, we'll make this fight right in your face to amp it up, but it doesn't quite work. But it does kind of lead up to the sequence where, it delivers on what is promised, which is the kids do finally arrive, and it's a race to try and stop the kids from getting into the pool.
Oh.
And and so there's a kind of fun final scene where
freeze frame.
It's not so much that, but they actually, I'll just spell it out for you. They actually stop the kids from getting in the pool. So it's like, oh wow! But then all the sprinklers suddenly come on, and the kids are all like, yay! And they're playing it, and the counselors are just looking at this, and they're like, "Fuck this, we're out of here." They literally just start running away.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Good plan.
So this movie never made a splash. So there's very little.
Because they didn't make it to the pool.
Oh boy. I'm really glad I saw it. But because it didn't do anything here or anywhere, there's no trivia or anything on it. I watched it on Plex. You can watch it on Plex at Tubi. I did decide to pull up a couple of reviews. As you can tell from the Rotten Tomatoes, 56% and 39%. So there are some people who like this movie, some people who don't. I'm going to give you a review from both sides.
Oh,
ooh.
This is too small for me to read. Single I M gives it 1 out of 10 stars. They write, dark, shaky filming with lots of grunting is the headline for this.
Okay.
It says, first of all, the synopsis is inaccurate. The film is about camp counselors that attack each other. The children are only in like 2 minutes of the film. The plot, stupid. The reason for the counselors going nuts and attacking each other makes no sense at all, especially considering they miraculously go from crazy back to normal, back to crazy with little reasoning. They also seem to sometimes remember what they did when crazy, but other times they don't, which doesn't make sense. Characters seem to disappear from scenes with no explanation. Overall, it just doesn't make sense. Basically, this is a dark, shaky camera movie with lots of annoying grunting and a stupid plot and script with tons of holes in it. The whole movie could have been done in 15 minutes, but it's stupidly drawn out. Don't waste your time. It's not entertaining on any level, not even to sit and make fun of.
5 stars.
So, yeah, he gave it 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now I have one from Thesar223. It's called Camp Fever. He gives it 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And says, holy crap, talk about judging a book by its title. I went into this movie 100% cold. I knew nothing about it other than the title, and I thought I knew it all. I hadn't watched a trailer, read a blurb, or even seen a poster. What I thought I read into the name was going to be a cheap, independent take on the killer stalking camp counselor subgenre.
Sure.
Which is a personal favorite of mine, the slasher flick. Suffice to say, I hesitate to not give this a perfect rating. It was absolutely one of the most effective, scary, original, tight, and inventive horror movies I've seen in probably a good couple of years.
Wow.
I love the rules it came up with. The acting was believable, and the pacing and continuous flow was near perfect. It didn't settle on just one direction. It kept reinventing itself. So that is, I mean, I guess I would say that I am right there with both of these reviews.
Sure.
So, you know, 1 to 10 or 9 to 10. Summer Camp, available on Tubi or Plex.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay, well, mine actually has a summer camp, not just in the title. We're talking about 2014's Stage Fright.
All of life's a song to sing, so sing with all your heart.
I have to get dressed. We can't do this now.
We safe, preparing for opening night. Rehearse all day, it'll always be perfectly right.
Welcome to Limelight.
I think about Mom a lot. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do.
You actually want to compete with those theater geeks? Those kids aren't normal, Ken.
Artie will be announcing this summer's Limelight production.
Hot thing of the opera!
Your mother's role.
She would be proud.
What is at the heart of haunting?
A love story about...
It's about covering up who you really are.
Break a leg. There has been an accident.
Maybe there's somebody out there that really doesn't want him to put on this play. Cam, do you think this is connected to your mom?
Isn't it wrong to sing and dance when someone just died?
Camilla, where are you?
There's a killer in the theater!
I love this movie.
Have you seen this one? Okay. Have you
I've
seen this
heard
one?
really good things, but have not seen it.
Rotten Tomatoes disagrees.
Oh, no.
The critics have it at 37, and the audience has it at 27.
Oh, fuck those guys.
Yeah. Directed by Jerome Sable, who this is his only, his first feature, like 8 shorts. He's in ABCs of Death 2 for V is for Vacation. He's also the writer. Had Eli Battalion also wrote and did the lyrics, music and lyrics. He wrote a few shorts. Not Happiness, you're thinking? No, not that one.
Okay.
Stars, sort of, Minnie Driver, who you might know from Cinderella, the criminally underrated Grosse Pointe Blank, Good Will Hunting, Hard Rain, and Goldeneye.
Yeah, whatever happened to her?
She's still acting. She's still doing a lot. Yep. And Meatloaf, who you might know from Rocky Horror Picture Show, Sausage Party, Blood Rain, or 108 other acting credits.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's done a lot, man. Ally McDonald, who's in House at the End of the Street, Lost Girl, Orphan Black, and Under the Silver Lake. And Douglas Smith, who's in The Alienist, Big Little Lies, and Vinyl. It's a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
The main people are pretty damn good. The starts with based on a true story. Aspects have been changed, but the musical numbers are performed as they occurred in the real world.
Oh, nice.
So that gives you an idea of where this movie might be going.
Was this a first-time viewing for you? Oh, good.
The film begins on stage with the star-making moment for Kylie Swanson, who's played by Minnie Driver, which is Haunting of the Theater, I think it's called. I've got it written someplace. I'll come across it. But basically a Phantom of the Opera takeoff. And so she sings the big thing, gets the huge crowd, and everybody loves her, and then she gets killed backstage. So
that's the end of Minnie Driver.
Yeah, it's a short film. But 10 years later, we've got Kylie's daughter, who's played by Ally McDonald. And it's time to get the musical. So the movie starts at the theater of everybody arriving at the camp. And how do you know it's a singing and dancing camp? Because as soon as the bus sees the camp, everybody on the bus starts singing. And you know what? I really like the opening song. I think it's probably my favorite song in the thing. It was this opening introduction where they're all singing about how they're given shit all year long and bullied and treated like crap. And here's a place they all get to be who they really are and have a fun time. They do some interesting plays on the word gay with a few of the characters and the way they're singing it. And it's actually a lot of fun. This is Meatloaf's camp. Meatloaf was also the guy that was running the play where she got killed, where Minnie Driver's character was killed, and it destroyed his career. So now he's back at this camp. And the big secret every year is what movie are they going, or what play are they going to be doing for this season?
Ooh.
The previous season, they did the musical version of the Vagina Monologues.
Oh my God.
This summer will be play of Haunting of the Opera. That's the title, which is, of course, a very obvious takeoff on Fan of the Opera. And even has reminiscent notes in some of the songs when they get to the songs for the play. I'm going, that's a little bit Phantom of the Opera coming out there. Now, Camilla, the daughter, works for the camp, so she's not really supposed to be auditioning or involved in any of the plays until she finds out what the play is. She's like, well, I got to be in this one. I must audition for my mother's role. One thing they do quite kind of well in this thing is, I don't know if, I'm guessing, Kelly, you were not a theater kid in high school?
No.
Did you? Were you a theater kid?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Big theater kid.
They do the nice thing that happens, and so was I. Since all of junior high and high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the thing quite well where you get along nicely most of the time, but then every once in a while there's those roles you wanted to get and somebody else is in your way. And they have a little bit of that with some of the ladies who are very upset that she's auditioning, especially when it shows that she's better singer than most of them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up getting the part, but is given a lot of shit for it. Or something darker come back because of the play's revival.
Ooh.
Movie moves through rehearsals, and director is a fucking asshole. The director in this movie would be killed by the Me Too movement. He is just a dick. He's had several scenes where I wouldn't even say it's implied, where basically there's two girls that are going to be the lead. You cast two and he's going to decide who will win. Basically, it amounts to who will do the most with him sexually is going to end up with the role. And it's not even subtle. It's played over several scenes. I'm
Jesus.
Jesus, man. But yeah, it doesn't end well for him.
Good.
So the rehearsals go on, and there's weird shit going on. There's not a lot of killing, but when it happens, Jesus Christ, it's brutal. When the director guy I was talking about gets taken out, he's like gets his foot torn off and things like. It's really like whoa. There's weird segments in the movie with the music where it's a musical, so they're singing the musical songs of the musical, but then they're also singing the songs of the play on stage, and sometimes they try to combine them. I think they need a little bit better music person to bring the two songs together, because there's a happy scene where the kids are singing something about the summer camp juxtaposition with the killer who's singing something that's got a real heavy metal kind of sound to it, and they don't mesh real well together.
Oh, bummer.
Which is unfortunate because they should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's my second note on the director. Jesus, this fucking director is an asshole. So, a couple times. The director gets killed, and of course there's fallout all over the place, and all the kids are upset. There's a great line that's in the trailer about some little kid comes out and goes, well, should we be singing and dancing right after somebody gets killed? Are they going to put on the play? The big producer from New York is going to be there, and he could revive it. He could bring back Meatloaf's career. The performance goes off fairly well. Not a lot of things go wrong. I'll leave the end there. And, being a Schitt's Creek fan, David is in this movie very briefly.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's like interviewing somebody before he'd done anything. But I was like, I know that voice. Oh, that is him. But so it's a fun film. There's a lot of fun things to like about it. It's got a couple issues. I think they made the mistake having all the cast sing live.
Oh.
They should have pre-recorded them.
Yeah, that's kind of the Disney trick, right? Like just pre-record a really perfect sounding song and then have everyone jump around and pretend.
Lip sync to it, yeah.
Because even Meatloaf has moments of sounding pretty rough. In this film.
Ooh.
So I was kind of,
what a strange choice.
Yeah, I think that would have helped a lot. I mean, it works great in the giant group songs. That's just fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of the solo songs could have really been helped.
I can only imagine this was a budget thing.
Yeah, it might have been.
Didn't have the money to go into the studio or something.
Yeah, that would be a big expense. Big expense. Yeah, because Minnie Driver sounds fine, and the lady playing her daughter sounds fine.
Right.
I mean, nobody sounds awful, but they don't sound like, especially those two roles, do not sound like people that would be leading a cast on Broadway.
That's the problem. Like you can be a good actor or you can be a good singer, but getting both together in a low budget movie, that's gonna
tough.
be,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get that many people who can do it.
And it is sort of a hodgepodge of fun if you're a hardcore horror fan, because there's all kinds of Easter eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Some really obvious, like Friday the 13th, the camp. It's just an air of the whole thing. There's a Hellraiser thing where somebody's putting like pins in somebody's head and they say, nailed it.
Oh my God.
There's a bucket of blood dumped on someone on stage. The large chef's looking knife that looks very much like Michael Myers' knife. There's a knife in the mouth, which reminded me a lot of Argento's opera.
Oh, sure.
And some kid with a saw raising it above his head going, "Ah!" for some weird reason. And there's a sound in there with one of the scissors. And it's driving me nuts. I must have spent 10 or 15 minutes looking around trying to, because I know that sound, shink sound of the scissors. Like, what the fuck is that from? And I still don't know. So any of the listeners out there can fill me in, because I looked at all the movies I could find where scissors were being used, and it's like, I know that sound is from something. So hopefully somebody will find it out for me and help my sanity. Let's see. They use the same font title, and this is by choice, same shade of red from Assault on Precinct 13 for the title.
Of course.
Like, what? Why?
I know. Carpenter font is like, people like
but it's just their favorite director is John Carpenter, but it has nothing to do with the film.
Yeah.
The Rotten Tomatoes consensus view is there might be a good movie to be made from mashing up slasher and music genres. Unfortunately, Stage Fright isn't quite it. I think you liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
I liked it, But I also kind of had that problem. There are a couple there's like 3 or 4 just filthy jokes that belong in like an R-rated camp movie. It's like, holy shit, I can't believe you said that. And then the violence is so intense. And then the songs are so happy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't, and that can really work well sometimes. I feel like it was like if that one song had melded them together really well, it would have helped a lot. But it kind of had that Vampire in Brooklyn thing where it's like you needed to push a little farther one side or the other. I think it would have been a great film, but I did like it. It was a lot of fun to watch. FearNet gave the film a positive review and marked that while the film wasn't particularly scary, it was occasionally creepy and frequently quite gory.
Yes.
We Got This Covered, and the Austin Chronicles praised the film with a latter commenting that it was the best unconventional operetta since South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut.
Whoa. High praise.
May says from a Amazon review, I love this movie. The film itself is a 5, but I'm putting a 3 here because the case is broken and now I have to find a new one. The DVD looks okay, but if it's not, I'll definitely be requesting a new one.
Every Amazon review. Every
Love
damn
those.
one of them.
So if she's still good, would give it a 3. This is another one of those films that's so under the radar. There's very little written about it. But it's worth checking out. It's available freaking everywhere. It's on Tubi and Hoopla and for rent in like 6 or 7 different video streaming places. So it's very easy to find.
Yeah, I think this is just a cute movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is shockingly gory.
Right.
But the musical numbers I think are catchy and all that. And you saying this reminded me, oh yeah, I forgot they didn't go into the studio. They sang it live. So that's kind of impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's good enough, but I think it would have helped just a little bit.
I
Except
agree.
some of the songs, it would have helped a lot. Some is just fine. But yeah, the opening scene when Minnie Driver gets taken out is like, oh my God, what kind of movie is this?
It's nice. I mean, it sounds like it's nice that they kind of went for it to an extent.
Yeah, I'll give them that, man. Just like if you're going to go for it, go for it.
Yeah.
It is the goriest musical ever.
There you go. Probably
it.
gorier than Repo, the genetic, or that one.
No,
Oh,
I never
yeah.
actually watched that one.
I think I did, but
I like the song. It did have a great song from
Paris Hilton?
No, from Jesus Christ.
I don't know. She's in it, right?
Is she? I don't know, but it's got
Tony
the
Head.
Watcher from Buffy.
Tony Head.
Yeah, Anthony Head.
He has a really good song. I like the stuff he did in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
He's like a musician, though.
Well,
Like,
yeah, he's got a couple albums out.
Yeah.
Had that great song he sang in one of the episodes, plus in the musical. But
yeah. Well, cool. As usual, Vanessa, you picked something. I had to scramble. I mean, I could have gone for something pretty basic.
Sure.
There are an awful lot of, and I like sometimes we can throw out an idea that is generic enough, and and I know sometimes I throw out something that might upset you because it's not generic. This was nice and needed this week, especially that I didn't have to do too much searching.
Yeah,
I'm very glad that you guys enjoyed the hunt.
I like both kinds. I love the ones where I have to kind of dig down and find something I may have never heard of, but then it's also nice to have that one where you're summer camp. Type in summer camp, 4,312 options.
Exactly. I also love it when Vanessa picks a subgenre and then hates the film that she picked for it. And I'm like, well, why? This was literally your chance to do whatever you wanted.
Because I don't do it based off of a film I want to watch, unlike some people. I just am like this.
You have.
Sometimes, rarely.
I want a movie with the fog in it.
That only happened that one time. And you fought me so hard.
I really did not want that. Okay, well, this is the part where, oh wait, I guess that means it's my choice for the next one.
Oh, yeah. What are we doing next?
I'm going to do something very specific, Vanessa. You're going to hate it.
Fine.
There's a ton of horror franchises out there, and we each will be picking the third film in that franchise.
All right. You know what?
That'll
There
be
are
wild.
enough franchises out there. I think I can find something.
I think that 3 is also a pretty good...
It's the magic number.
Well, 3 is the magic number. I thought it was 33. 33 is magic number.
It's 3.
Oh, all right. Anyway, I think that number 3 often yields a good sequel.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's what we're doing next week.
Cool.
For now, we are saying thank you to everyone who participates in the value for value model, everyone who's liking and sharing posts,
Yes.
all of our
You are
regulars.
awesome.
Yes, we are big fans of you.
Sure are.
So, okay, guys, how about we close this down? We'll come back in 1 week and we are talking third in a franchise.
Cool.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio, produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
Like, we're all kind of put together, but we look like we've been through something.